let's talk about Ryan Ruth. So originally I joked and said, if Ryan Ruth did not like release a written statement or a pre-recorded statement, you could potentially lower his charges because he's technically not even like violating, especially if he wasn't like brandishing. Oh, if it was just like kind of there, Second Amendment, baby. You know what I mean? You're just like, that's how American laws are, right? But it turns out he has openly shown his intent. No, there is provable intent. You're wrong. There is definitely provable intent. He wrote a literal letter, chat. Come on. There is definitely provable intent. Let's take a look.
This is a Fox News alert. In about 2 hours, the suspect in the second attempt against former President Donald Trump will be back in federal court, where a judge will determine whether he can be released on bail.
Brooke Singman has brand new reporting that has come out in the last half hour about the suspect's movements and a note he wrote long before the attempt. Brooke?
Yeah, that's right, guys. So Ryan Ruth will appear in a West Palm Beach courtroom today at 11 a.m. Eastern time. This is the DOJ releases this letter from Ruth where he says, quote, this was an attempt on Donald Trump. Now, this letter came from a civilian that contacted police after they say Ruth dropped off a box at their house several months prior to the...
Wait, what? Okay, this sounds like too good to be true, and it sounds like almost fake. But honestly, this dude was so insane that I believe it. Like, I read the letter. I didn't know how they actually found the letter. The letter, if you read it, sounds insane. Like, sounds too good to be true, right? If you are trying to put together a prosecution and you happen upon a letter like this, you're like, come on, dude, I mean, this is the easiest lock of the century, okay? Anyway, it feels a little too good to be true, but the only reason why I still am committed to believing that it is real is because he is that insane, and he has a penchant for writing in general.
The attempt. After learning of the incident, the witness opened this box and found ammunition with the letter that also says he will offer $150,000 to whoever can, quote, complete the job if he failed. The DOJ also saying Ruth had 6 cell phones and 2 license plates, and his internet history revealed he looked up Trump locations into October and had to travel from Palm Beach to Mexico. Last week, he was charged with possession of a firearm by a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. The charges came after a Secret Service agent noticed what appeared to be a rifle poking out of a chain-link fence at former President Trump's Florida golf course while Trump was golfing. The Secret Service agent fired in that direction of the rifle. A witness spotted Ruth then fleeing from the area, and he was arrested shortly after. Now, the 2 charges carry a combined maximum sentence of 20 years in prison, but federal prosecutors say stronger charges could be coming. Meanwhile, the House has unanimously passed a bill to enhance Secret Service protection for presidential candidates, and that bill is now heading to the Senate. Guys.
Brooke, thank you very much.
So many questions.
No.
As you guys know, as a small government conservative, I find it abhorrent, repugnant that we are wasting our government resources like this. All of that money should be going to Israel. Unacceptable. Every dollar that is now spent on Secret Service detail with extra security protocols and extra protections for people running for president, okay? All of those dollars should be going to the beautiful moral state of Israel, and I find it unconscionable that we're spending it. We're wasting it. As a small government conservative, this is what I believe. Also, that women do not have bodily autonomy, and that we should interfere in their affairs, in what happens in their own personal lives, and a decision that they need to make, a medical one, between themselves as patients and the doctor. This is what I believe as a small government conservative. Anyway, let's continue.
No kidding. So months ago, Ruth drops off at somebody's house a box, and the person didn't open it until Ruth popped up in the news. So obviously, this is just pure conjecture, but obviously it seems like, just like in the movies, dropped the box off and said, hey, if anything happens to me, open the box. And in the box, ammo, a metal pipe, building materials, tools, 4 phones, various letters. What's interesting is it sounds like he had no intentions of being by return fire, because he was trying to figure out how to get to Mexico. The plates on the Nissan not registered, actually, that car, so he had a bunch of extra plates. He had 2 additional license plates. He had 6 cell phones in all.
Dude, this is one of those weird cases where it just like, it reads so perfectly like a psyop. Like it has all the telltale markings of like a dude who got like activated as a sleeper cell, just schizophrenic guy. It reminds me of like the AT&T bombing that happened. You know what I'm talking about? Like a while back, where it was just like so strange, where like, or the Big Gretch kidnapping, like it just has all the telltale markers. And yet I still personally believe that this dude, like I can't understand what it would be the additional reasoning as to why. Like, what would be the background reasoning for why, this would be a psyop, I guess. So I do still think that this is like homegrown. I think we're doing it to ourselves. It's like the same principle behind like, J. Edgar Hoover no longer has to besmirch the reputation of like, black community leaders and whatnot. It's just like people do that on TikTok anyway. You know what I mean? Although it does feel weird.
He had 12 pairs of gloves.
What's questionable, though, is in this letter, it says this was an attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. I tried my best, gave it all my gumption that I could muster. So does that mean he's tried in the past, or was he talking about this latest one?
Ainsley, I also think, based on this letter, can we stop saying we don't know the motive? I mean, it's pretty clear in the letter what his motive and why he decided to do this and who was the...
I do find this funny, though, because, like, Republicans will now be like, well, there you have it. The motive is right in writing, right? Which is really interesting to consider, because every single white supremacist mass shooter has directly told what their motive is. And yet they always are like, who could tell why these guys did this? Who could really tell why the dude that went to the blackest part of Buffalo, New York, specifically to shoot up a market, that openly wrote why he was doing that? A total mystery. How could we ever figure out what the motivations behind like a white supremacist act of terror is, when they very clearly wrote out what their motivations were? What I also find additionally interesting is that the DOJ released this letter, because normally they hide that in an effort not to cause copycats. And I don't know why they released the letter, because the letter literally is like, it's almost like a call to arms, and it just straight up doesn't make sense. Normally they would keep that shit under wraps, especially when the target is a high profile target like the president. It's weird.
Intended target. I'm so sick of these press conferences where they come out for us and go, we don't know yet. We don't know his motivations. We don't know why he decides to do that. He spelled it out as what we would call in the legal field or criminal justice field as his manifesto. This is the manifesto. He even tells the person if he can't finish it, he asked someone else to finish it, and that he was going to give him, I think, 100.
Yeah, bro. That's why it's weird that you're like, you have the printout in your hand and you're just like repeating it over and over again, like it's the top of the hour ad break, which comes at the top of every hour. And if you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you could do for $6 or for free with Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, But it's odd. It's odd that he's like waving that around and like repeating it over and over again, because it's like, do you want people to make additional attempts? I just don't get it. Like, yeah. Also, I do not believe, even for a brief moment, that he had $150,000 spare to just like give to someone who would, complete the. Just like I don't believe he had 1,000 NATO-trained Afghan fighters ready to go to Ukraine. Okay, I think he was a crackhead, which are usually very, decent targets for intelligence, like patsies. You'd be surprised. Sketchy roofers can make bank. No.
$50,000. So this is a manifesto. We know the motive now. We should stop saying we don't know.
They'll have to prove that he actually wrote this letter, that this was actually Ruth. Right. And What attempt is he talking about? Is there another one that he tried and he failed? And also today, the judge is going to decide if he can be released on bail. We interviewed Jonathan Turley. He said, I doubt it. He probably will hold him, but he's being held for having a gun, even as a felon, which is illegal, and then taking off the serial number of the gun, but not charged yet with anything, with any stricter laws like trying to a president or trying to a Secret Service officer. So the Attorney General for the state of Florida, she has said that they are expecting charges against him.
At the very least, it shows premeditation. It
Correct.
shows that he had
Intent.
a plan. And so let's see where they go with it, because now it's in the ball is in the Fed's court to figure out the new charges. But clearly, even on those two charges, gun charges that he's being held on, he could wind up in prison for over 20 years.
Yeah, for just those two charges.
Yeah.
If these other charges are added, could be for life.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.
We're going to turn now to the race for the White House. Just 43 days until Election Day. Donald Trump, Kamala Harris, both campaigning in battlegrounds this week amid a debate over more debates. Rachel Scott is here with the latest. Good morning, Rachel.
Hey, George. Good morning to you. Yeah, it's looking very unlikely that voters will see these two candidates on a debate stage again before the November election. Look, we just got 6 weeks to go here, and polls show that Vice President Kamala Harris is gaining momentum nationally, but she's trailing Donald Trump in two of the critical battleground states that could decide this election. With just 43 days to go, Vice President Kamala Harris gaining ground nationally, with a recent poll finding Harris now leading Donald Trump by 5 points among voters nationwide, 49 to 44%. But a New York Times Siena poll shows tight races in two of the battleground states that could decide this election, with Trump ahead in both Arizona and North Carolina. In the final weeks, Harris trying to paint a contrast.
On the other side is that there is a devaluation of who the American people are. Just don't really understand.
Challenging the former president to a second debate.
Join me on the debate stage. Let's have another debate. There's more to talk about.
Trump rejecting that.
Coming across as a little desperate, sweetie. Just saying. I mean, I agree. I would love to see a second debate. That shit would be fire. But why is no one screaming about when exactly this letter was written? He's speaking to past tense about a future event. Yeah, can someone send me the letter? Does anyone have the letter? We'll read it. Here. Dear world. Oh, here. Here. Dear world, this was an attempt on Donald Trump, but I'm so sorry I failed you. Wait, how did he know? What if he actually got away with it, dog? Like, I just don't get. I don't get how he knew he was gonna fail, you know? Is he a time traveler? How does he know, bro? Yo, he wrote 2 letters. Okay, so why did the person he dropped off this box to only reveal one of the 2 letters? Like, what? The guy is like not loyal to him enough to like leak this, but also so loyal, that he's like secretly only revealing the failed attempt letter. It's shocking that this man has no self-confidence, especially when you think about like all of his many attempts of getting Dave Matthews to write the greatest song of all time, To Save the World, which Dave Matthews obviously refused to acknowledge because he hates Ukraine. Duh. This was an attempt on Donald Trump, but I'm so sorry I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all I've got. Wait, what? And gave it all the gumption I could muster. Yeah, he's up. He says, I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. It is up to you now to finish the job, and I will offer you $150,000 to whomever can complete the job. Everyone across the globe, from the youngest to the oldest, know that Trump is unfit to be anything, much less a U.S. president. U.S. presidents must, at bare minimum, embody the moral fabric that is America and be kind, caring, and selfless, and always stand for humanity. Trump fails. Wait, where is it? Where's the rest of it? Trump fails to understand that. I mean, it just feels weird, man. Something about this is like, it just smells odd. I just don't understand why a guy who tweets everything wouldn't just tweet this. You know what I mean? He was tweeting his cell phone number over and over again. And this also seems like a lot more, this seems more coherent than his other ramblings. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. Everyone across the globe, youngest to oldest. Yeah. Also, how the fuck would he pay $150,000 if he failed? If he's recognizing that he failed the attempt in this letter, how is he ever going to pay the $150,000 anyway? I don't know. Elsewhere in the letter, the suspect ripped Trump's foreign policy. He, the former president, ended relations with Iran like a child, and now the Middle East is unraveled. Once again, you know, wrong guy to say these things, but he has the right message. Okay, I'm sorry. Ryan Jebediah Ruth, he is not incorrect in his analysis in terms of what President Donald Trump did. All I'm saying is, he's a NATO guy. I am not a fan of NATO, as you guys know. Okay. But he's right about this. He was also a NATO guy who was like super anti-China, but also was like pro, like normalizing relations with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Prosecutors are arguing that Ruth should be kept in jail ahead of trial, while federal public defender Christy Militello asked for the defendants to be allowed alive to live with his sister in North Carolina as the case goes forward. Ruth was taken into custody after a Secret Service agent spotted the muzzle of a SKS. So wait, how did they find the contents? God, I hate Fox News so much. Like, aside from the fact that they are obviously a propaganda rag, it is very deeply frustrating that like they don't even do like basic journalism so that you could accidentally find at least something that you didn't know about a story. Like they didn't even mention like how the DOJ came upon this treasure trove of proof. Like they basically said they gave it to someone, but like I need more details, right? Like I need more details. I want to parse through it. It just seems very weird that he would like give evidence of his like potential foiled attempt of the candidate. Like why would he just like hand deliver a piece of evidence before doing the dang thing to some random person? Was it a random person? Who do they give it to? All right, where did they find it? Page 7. Okay, here's what has been revealed to us about all the info that they have. As part of this investigation, FBI agents reviewed a book apparently authored by Ruth in February titled Ukraine's Unwinnable War. I can't believe I had to read that, dude. That's so funny. Imagine that's your job at the FBI. All right, bye. Your job at the FBI is to read the psychotic ramblings of a madman, to pick apart anything that has a semblance of like sanity in there, to be like, well, we uncovered his motivation. That's gotta suck, dude. New York Times is now officially gone. They've left the building. Okay. In the book, Ruth stated that he must take part of the blame for the person that we elected for our next president ended up being brainless. But I'm man enough to say I misjudged and made a terrible mistake. And Iran, I apologize. You are free to Trump as well as me for that error in judgment and the dismantling of the deal. No one here in the U.S. seems to have the balls to put natural selection to work, or even unnatural selection. That's crazy. He's wild, dude. Ryan Ruth is a wild man, okay? God, I love this guy so much. It is so much content. He was built different. He's like, Iran, you can me for voting for Donald Trump. My mistake. Yeah, by the way, that makes it even funnier because like he voted for Donald Trump in 2016. It makes things so much funnier. Yet another former Trump supporter trying to Trump. On September 18, 2024, law enforcement were contacted by a civilian witness who stated that Ruth had dropped off a box at his residence several months prior. After learning of the September 15, 2024 incident in Trump International, the witness opened the box. Why would you not open that box if someone drops a box off at you? Also, are you random? What's your association with this guy? This makes no sense. The witness stated the box contained ammunition, a metal pipe, miscellaneous building materials, tools, 4 phones, various letters, 1 handwritten letter addressed to the world. Stated, among other things, this was an attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster. It is up to you now to finish the job. I will $150,000 to whoever can complete the job. The handwritten letter above goes in state to part. He, the former president, ended relations with Iran like a child, and now the Middle East has unraveled. On or about December 20th, 2002, Ruth was convicted in Greensboro, North Carolina, of possession of mass destruction, a binary explosive device in violation of Section 14 of the North Carolina General Statutes, Class F felony. On or about March 3rd, 2010, Ruth was convicted of multiple counts of possession of stolen goods in violation of North Carolina General Statutes. I mean, dude, look, if I'm being real, this has the markings of a government patsy, okay? Intelligence asset. Like, it has up and down. It is screaming. It is screaming at me, okay? It is screaming at me. You have a guy who, like, did he get away with this? Like, I don't even understand. How was he, like, able to avoid prison? No, he's just a time traveler. No, his craziness makes him a perfect patsy. What do you mean? What sane person is activated to do such an insane thing? Like, what are you talking about? Have you seen any of the former attempted, like, ones that don't get at least and serve their prison sentence? Do you know what they look like, what they sound like? They sound like Ryan Ruth. Like, exactly like him. Now, that might imply that they're, you know, you have to literally lose your mind a little bit in order to try such a thing. And I'm, you know, I agree with that. I agree with that. But I also do happen to think, I don't know, sometimes the best possible person to activate in scenarios like this are exactly the type of people that are this crazy and this ambitious and have a savior complex, you know? And